Hello, my name is John Larson. I'm a Vice President with IHS Economics, and I'm here at the IHS Forum in Houston. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about a study that we've just recently released that looks at the impact of the unconventional revolution on the U.S. economy. This is the third in a three-part series that we've done. The first looked at the exploration and production activity and what it's meant for the entire economy. The second extended that exploration and production activity to look at what it means on a state level. Very interesting findings there as we looked at what it meant state by state and how states who don't even have a geographic play are still benefiting because of the broad supply chains across this country. A wonderful example is New York, where there's actually a moratorium on unconventional oil and gas drilling, but the supply chains there around real estate, finance, and insurance support about 44,000 jobs in 2012 in the unconventional oil and gas space. This last study, the third in this three-part series, looks at the full value chain of this unconventional revolution, looking from wellhead all the way down to final consumer. And I think it really finds four critical insights that are important for everyone to understand. The first is employment. Employment is much broader than we estimate when we look at just the upstream. There's a midstream that needs to connect this resource base from the gathering zones down to end consumers. And as that's built out, that sustains significant numbers of jobs. Additionally, once you get that to those downstream areas, you're going to have refineries, petrochemicals, and other industries that have to be built out with significant capital expenditure and corresponding jobs. So the job numbers coming out of this study actually in 2012 reach about 2.1 million jobs, and by 2020 that will reach about 3.3 million jobs. So significant contributions on the employment front. Also on the manufacturing front, you're seeing the jobs and the production significantly increasing. Industrial production in the United States will go from about 3.5% to 3.9% increased output as a result of this activity. Key industries such as steel, chemicals, agricultural chemicals will significantly benefit. The other thing I think that's very important is what does it mean in the macroeconomic context? If you look at what's going on within the macroeconomic context, we're going to see increased GDP by about 3%, and you're going to see an improvement in our trade position by about $170 billion. And so that's going to have important increases in overall economy and economic activity. The last thing that was really, I think, a revelation as we did this study was to see how profoundly this is actually impacting individual consumers. I think everyone looks at this and thinks about what it means for those directly employed in the industry, the oil and gas companies. But when you look at what it means for consumers, it has been very impactful. We estimate that in 2012, it actually increased average household disposable income by about $1,200. This is because there's lower energy costs. So if you're a consumer of natural gas for heating, for water heating, for electricity, you have lower energy prices that you pay on an annual basis as a result of this. But it's also in the form of goods and services that you pay less for. So as we talked about, the lower cost now for agricultural products means that those savings can be passed on as you look at lower costs for fertilizer, and then you look at the food processing where that's highly energy intensive. And you have an opportunity there to see lower costs, and those savings are passed on to consumers. So all consumers now significantly benefit with these increased disposable savings, and those will grow to about $2,100 by 2020, so significant impacts. So I think the overall story is the unconventional revolution is truly impactful. It is creating, I think, a renaissance in this country. It's changing a lot of our underlying fundamental economics, and it's impacting every American in terms of their pocketbook.